What if school didn't mean sitting still, staring at a board, or following someone else's idea of what matters? What if education could move with you across continents, cultures, time zones, without sacrificing rigor, real relationships, or readiness for the future? Well, for our family and many others in the world schooling community, that's what that what if really does have a name out there. We were introduced to Prisma by another family that we were traveling with in Japan, and I'm thrilled today to welcome someone who's been at the heart of this innovation from day one. Kristen, she's the CEO of Prisma, and she's worn a lot of hats. I'll let her get into some of this of her background, but she started as a teacher, a leader, founder of the charter school. She's been some innovation with education. She joined Prisma as a curriculum designer, which a lot of you out there know is near and dear to me, as that's my specialty in my education. And she's been leading the charge as CEO for a while now. So if you've ever wondered how to give your kids an exceptional education without giving up the freedom to explore the world, this episode is for you. Kristen, welcome to the Our Offbeat Life podcast.
Thanks so much for having me on, David. I'm very honored to be here.
Very good. How are you today?
Doing great, doing great. Just got back from a week at the beach with my husband and 3 kids, and yeah, getting back into it. Summer is our busiest time at Prisma with enrollment and getting all the curriculum designed for the next year and reviewing it, making sure it's perfect. We're reviewing all of the family data that we've gotten over the course of the year and implementing new things. So it's a really fun and exciting time in Prisma land.
Nice. It sounds like you guys are not a stagnant company. You're always moving and changing and updating.
Yes, that is part of the fun of it. That's the iteration and innovators mindset that we really try to instill in our kids that we, hope to model ourselves as well.
Outstanding. Well, let's start with the basics for folks who might be new to this.
Yeah.
What is Prisma and how is it different from traditional schooling models?
Great question. So Prisma is a virtual program. We are a private accredited online school. We start in 4th grade and we go all the way through 12th grade. And we have 2 goals. Goal number 1 is that we want kids to love learning. So everything we do is really hyper focused on kids, making sure they're excited about learning, giving them a lot of choice over what they learn. Our curriculum is fully comprehensive, so they'll learn everything that they'd be meant to learn at any private school, public school, parochial school, anything like that. But we do it in this really engaging, thematic, choice based way, which I can get into in a moment. We're constantly making sure that our kids have a community around them. So we place them really in these cohorts where we know they're going to make a ton of friends, where we know they're going to fit in, where we know they're going to have a coach who connects with them, where we know that no matter where they are in the world, that they're going to have a community of peers who they really connect with and are able to build these incredible relationships with, and coaches who invest so deeply in them. So that's goal number 1, is wanting kids to love learning. And goal number 2 is we really want to prepare them with the skills that they need to thrive in the future. So, of course, we want our kids to learn all the academic skills that they need. Our learners at Prisma grow, 206% of their expected growth in math and 176% of their expected growth in reading, which is great. We're not super hyper focused on standardized testing or anything like that. But what really makes us excited is, our kids are going to be moving into a world of really unknowns in the future. So when we first started Prisma, we really kind of took a step back. We said, okay, we want to prepare kids for the future, but we don't know what the future will hold. So we started doing a ton of research. We talked to experts at Harvard and MIT and Stanford, to 500 kids and families and educators, and asked them all that same question, which is, what are the skills that kids need to thrive in the future? What do you want to see for your kids? If you are a child or a teen right now, what do you imagine your future will be like? And it took all the responses and collated them together and broke them down into what we call our 4 Prisma powers, the skills that you need to thrive in the future. So our whole program and curriculum are really organized around this idea of applied curiosity. How do you get a lot of choice over what you learn? How do you learn how to learn? How do you do research? Communication and collaboration. How do you step up? How do you step back? How do you make complicated decisions? How do you build friendships in different types of environments? We've got learners in 26 different countries and all different types of cultures and backgrounds and experiences. And so how do you build relationships with different types of people? Think about innovators' mindset. And we think about initiative and follow through. How do you, set a goal, and how do you, break it down into smaller pieces and make sure you can be successful? So it was kind of the high level gist of Prisma at a glance. We really want kids to love learning and prepare them with the skills that they need to thrive in the future. And it's amazing to be part of.
Well, that's amazing, and I know from being an educator that not all students are of the same mold. There's auditory, visual, kinesthetic learners. There's learners
Yeah,
of all different varieties.
yeah.
So, what kind of learners or families is Prisma really designed to serve?
Oh, that's a great question. So, we actually have a very diverse family and learner population at Prisma. That's part of the joy of personalized learning, right? It doesn't need to be one size fits all. And that's one of, as a, you mentioned I started as a curriculum designer, and it's very near and dear to my heart as well. And that's one of the joys of designing a project-based curriculum for Prisma, is that we really are designing for our kids and families. We're not thinking about this like, average child out there somewhere. We're asking kids and families, do you like this topic? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And really designing specifically for them. Overall at Prisma, about 50% of our families are longtime homeschool families who are looking for more community, or as their kids are getting older, looking for, to make sure that they have an accredited curriculum that's going to, keep all the doors open for them, looking to kind of transition from that role of being both parent and teacher to, maybe just being parent in some ways, but still keep the flexibility of homeschooling and getting to travel. As kids get older, sometimes we find that they're like, they won't listen to me, but they listen to their teachers. My own kids don't listen to me, but very much listen to their teachers, which is fun. So about 50% there. I would say we have another probably 20% of Prisma families who are geo-flexible. So they're world schooling or road schooling or living on sailboats and really just living an amazing lifestyle of remote work or traveling, and want that community, want their kids to have that community that travels with them, but for it not to, impede on their family goals. We've got another chunk of families at Prisma who we call kind of our innovator families. These are families that are like, school is not doing what it's meant to do. It's not preparing kids with the skills that they need to thrive in the future. They're just sitting in desks all day and doing worksheets, and they're not, learning these communication and collaboration skills or learning how to innovate or think outside the box. And that's what we want for our kids. And so that's why they're attracted to Prisma. We've got a subset of families at Prisma that traditional school just wasn't a fit for different reasons. Maybe they're, profoundly gifted and are just bored out of their minds in a traditional one size fits all type of curriculum. Maybe they have some special learning needs and want to be able to go at their own pace or move through things in a different way. Part of the benefit of a virtual curriculum is that you can watch a video, you can watch it multiple times, you can watch it on 2x, you can watch it 3 times to get what you need. You can listen to a podcast, you can watch a video, and it's not all, like you mentioned, different types of learner, this auditory, the teacher says it and you need to, if you missed it, then it's gone type of learning. So yeah, lots of different types of kids and families at Prisma, and it's just, yeah, so fun to work with all of them.
That's really cool. You try to cater to so many different types of families. And you mentioned world schoolers, you mentioned work people.
Yeah.
That's a lot of our listeners out there, balancing multiple time zones,
Yes.
alternative learning paths. So, can students really design their own learning paths based on where they are in the world and what they're interested in?
Good question. Yes. So the way our curriculum, so we are accessible in all time zones across the world, and learners are part of a cohort. So a cohort is like 12 to 20 learners, depending on the age level, and it's learners that we match really specifically together. Our curriculum is about 50% synchronous, like live on Zoom with those interactive, sessions that are, they're never a lecture. They're debates and discussions, simulations, escape room design, thinking challenge, really, meant to develop community and to push thinking and to challenge you and push you outside the box. And then the other 50% of Prisma is asynchronous, which of course can be done at any time. So learners are working through a project. Every 6 weeks, we have a different theme. And within each theme, learners get a ton of choice over what they do. So, you're curriculum designer, so I'll get into the weeds a little bit here. But, on the back end, so we take all the standards, the US Common Core standards, NGSS, the Australian standards, ACE Cambridge, and we kind of brought them all together and rolled them up into competencies. And then the competencies are rolled up into badges, so or credits at the high school level. And then within each theme, learners earn badges. So in a human biology theme, for example, Inside Insight, they might earn a, biology, design thinking, and, literary analysis, for example, within that theme. But within the theme, they get a ton of choice over what they do, right? So some learners, as they were learning about biology, created these really cool digital or physical models of different body systems, both a typical and an atypical version. Others did a human-centered design project where they focused on a specific patient population, and they got to meet with people in that patient population and then design an innovation or an invention that makes life better for people in that patient population. Other learners in the same theme designed an app app that made mental health more accessible for kids, or a different type of app. Other learners did an environmental health solution. And so they went out into their environment and created something that would make the environment healthier. So within the theme, learners are all still learning the same competencies, but they're able to, through the projects that we design or that they design themselves, if we haven't designed one that's interesting to them, which does happen sometimes, they're able to kind of apply their curiosity in the way that's most interesting to them. We also have exploratories at our lower school, quests at our middle school, and capstones at our high school, which are these longer self-directed projects. So we've got learners that are writing novels or doing travel diaries, or who are learning, building their own computer, for example. So we also have other kind of outlets for learners to really pursue their passions in a deeper way.
Wow, yes. It sounds like they're able to do just about anything that they really want to, or if it's not already in place, that you help them put it in place.
Yeah,
That's kind
exactly.
of that's kind of neat. And
Cool.
that kind of takes me back to when we spoke with Vivian and her family.
Uh-huh.
Um, she mentioned that she could get a East Asian culture credit, and by doing math while she was in Japan, she asked
Yeah.
her teacher if it would work, and they worked the system out for her. It was
Yeah.
really, really cool. So she was really excited that that was something that was possible as well. So,
Yeah. We're very flexible in that way with, independent study. And, we don't want all of the amazing things that our families who are traveling or world schooling or not that are doing to just be constrained outside. Like, let's pull it in. Let's like find a way to, make that independent study credit or something that you're interested in, which is cool.
yeah. One of the biggest concerns for traveling families is socialization.
Yeah.
So, how does Prisma help kids build real friendships, community when well, some of them are always on the move?
Yeah, that's the best part, is that it doesn't matter where you are, because you can, as long as you have a Wi-Fi connection, you can really click in with your group. So like I mentioned, we're about 50% synchronous and 50% asynchronous. All of the synchronous time is designed for communication and collaboration. It's designed to help kids build friendships, to learn how to collaborate, and not collaborate in the way that, a group project where somebody does all of the work, but it's a debate or a discussion, a simulation, escape room. We did a theme called playology, where learners were learning about physics and then designing a toy that employed those physics concepts. But in the live time, they were in teams, and each team was a toy shop, and each toy shop had a different target market, and each week was a different quarter. So, it's Q1, so January, February, March. So we need to think, is it cold outside? Is it hot outside? What kind of toy should we buy? What are the trends in the toy market right now? What does our specific target market want? Do we want to go all in? Do we want to buy insurance for our employees? How much do we want to pay them? So they're kind of really debating and discussing in these teams to make all these real world financial decisions, and then seeing at the end of the session, kind of in this, you know, computerized spreadsheet type of situation, like, well, which toy shop made the most profit this week, and really learning those skills. And so they're collaborating on real world things, which helps them build friendships as well. We've got really robust coach led enrichments. We've got learner led clubs, everything from gaming, and which is really popular. We've got arts clubs, we've got workout clubs, we've got Prisma Parliament, Prisma News. We do TED Ed, like a speaker type of enrichment that learners can do. Pokemon clubs, Lego lounges, really everything you could possibly imagine. There is a learner led club or coach led enrichment for, which is really fun. And we also have learners on a chat platform as well, which has different channels for things kids are interested in. We've got a lot of horse people at Prisma, so that channel is really popular, talking about horses or pets. We've got, channels for their cohort group, as well as for their math groups or any enrichments that they're in, and then lots of different interest-based channels. We have a lot of Swifties, so there's a Taylor Swift channel, there's a March Madness channel, all different types of channels for kids to, really connect with learners outside of their cohorts and all over the world as well.
Wow, there's a lot to unpack there for a lot. There's so much going on. But you did mention coaches. So what support system do coaches provide for the students?
Yeah, so the coaches have kind of three main roles. One is that they facilitate the live sessions. So when we hire coaches, it's so crazy. Every time we post the role, we get hundreds of applications overnight. I was looking back at our last, most recent hiring process. We got thousands of applications for coach roles. So we really do get the best of the best educators out there. And they really have three roles. One is facilitating live workshops. So those debates, discussions, simulations, escape rooms, we want people that are going to be able to facilitate and, make sure all voices are heard, and to, navigate these, complex learning challenges that kids are faced with. Second is they meet bi-weekly with every learner in their cohort. So these are one-on-one coaching sessions where they're getting to know them. How are you doing? What are you thinking about? And they really vary by learner. Sometimes it's like, okay, I really want to walk through the feedback that I gave you this week. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Let's again. Other times it's like the learner will be like, I watched this really funny Minecraft video and I want to show it to you. And it's relationship building, getting to know them. It's getting to know their families. And the coaches are really skilled at sort of like triangulating between like what are the family's goals for their child, where is the learner at academically, and where would we like them to be in this kind of spectrum, and kind of piecing those things together to really push and challenge learners both academically and on those Prisma power skills as well. So that's the second part, is that one-on-one mentorship. And then the third is feedback. So every single day coaches are going into learners projects and they're writing them comments. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? I have an idea for you here. I want to push you and challenge you here. Watch this video and check this resource, or I want you to go back here and see this, or wow, just amazing job. I see you and that's awesome. And you're working so hard. And really kind of personalizing that feedback just to the learner to kind of move them forward academically, and, personalize it to who they are. So it's not this one size fits all, you know, A, B, C, D, you got a 74% on this project type of situation.
All right, very, very interesting. And you also mentioned that they had a way of communicating with each other, like a messaging system. Is that like a Discord or an internal system, or what is that?
It's so in our fourth through eighth grade program, we use Google Chat, and then in the high school we use Slack.
Ah, all right, okay. I'm familiar with both those programs. Very good programs.
Good.
All right, and let's talk about outcomes. So, what kind of academic results have you seen from Prisma students, and how does Prisma handle things like accreditation and college readiness?
Sure. So we are fully accredited by Cognia. So we're a fully accredited private school. We have a college board number. Learners, when they register for the SAT or ACT, they use our college board number. When they apply for universities, they're able to use our accreditation to apply. So that's an easy one to get out of the way. In terms of academic achievement, we use the NWEA MAP assessments. In our full program, our learners grow about 206% of their expected growth in math and 176% of their expected growth in reading each year. Like I mentioned, we're not, drilling and killing for the MAP assessments. We're not really big standardized testing people, but it's not surprising to us, right? When learning is personalized to you and tailored to you, of course you're going to grow way faster than if you were sitting in a classroom getting a lesson that's maybe on your level, maybe not, maybe too easy, maybe too hard, maybe interesting, maybe not to you. When learning is tailored to you, of course you're going to grow faster on those traditional measures. So always happy about that, we want to keep doors open to learners. We just had our first group of graduating seniors this year. All of them were accepted to four-year universities and colleges in the top 75. Their SAT scores were in the top 93rd percentile nationwide. They earned hundreds of thousands of dollars collectively in scholarships. So yeah, that's a huge shout out to Trevor, who's our Launchpad program designer at the high school level. He worked so intentionally with every single learner, making sure, in our 9th and 10th grade program, we think about life skills, which is led by one of our coaches, James. And he's really thinking about, okay, who are you? What do you want to become? What are your goals? And really starting to think like, okay, if you want to go to, if you want to be an astronaut, like let's start thinking about like, what does it take to be an astronaut? Let's make sure you're taking physics in 9th grade and then AP physics by 11th grade, and that you have all these, everything that you need to accomplish these goals, that you're getting these internships, and really kind of working with learners on a personal level. That's kind of the role of the mentor coach. And then as they get into 11th and 12th grade, they move into our Launchpad program, which is, okay, how do you build a resume? How do you tell your story? How do you apply for financial aid and do the FAFSA? And it is a very high touch, personalized approach, because that's what all kids deserve. And we were so proud this year to see those first outcomes come through, and just so proud of how hard those founding learners worked, and just excited to see what they do next.
Yeah, that's amazing. Your first set of graduates going off. It's pretty kind of cool. It's kind of cool. It's like
Yeah.
teachers feel that proudness that parents feel too when it comes to the students they work with.
Every time we got a new college acceptance, our whole Slack was blowing up like, Arden got into Carnegie Mellon, like so and so got in here, so and so got in here. We're like, oh, like, it was so yeah, we deeply know and love every single learner, and are so proud of them.
What about things like, okay, so AI is huge right now, and people are saying that it's going to take a lot of jobs. Who knows what the future is going to bring? How does Prisma work with students to help them prepare for jobs, knowing that AI is going to be a part of the future?
Yeah, we're not scared of AI. I know there's lots of school districts that are, banning it or blocking it or anything like that. And we do teach learners how to use AI safely. So we use Magic School AI and we teach them, how to use AI appropriately. It's not appropriate to, have AI write your answer to every single question, right? That's taking away your own creativity, but there are really great ways to use it as an amplifier to your own creativity, as a brainstorm partner, as a check, or to make sure your understanding is there. So we teach them lots of different ways to engage with AI. If they're doing research, we teach them how to do research using AI, but you need to cross-reference that with a non-AI verified source. And are you noticing any differences? What do you see there? So we do teach learners how to work with AI in appropriate ways. That said, at least for us, we still believe in the power of writing, right? Like writing is such a clarifying activity. It helps you think logically, and learning how to write teaches you how to think and how to clarify and how to communicate. And so we do still expect learners to do writing, with their own brains, not from AI. And same thing with math. Learning math teaches you lots of different things. Even though calculators exist and AI exists, we still do believe it's important to go through the process of learning math. And there's so many, if you're doing long division, you may learn that you really need to pay attention to detail, right? It's not about completing the algorithm of long division, but there are other things that you learn from math. And so we still do encourage learners to do math and writing, even in this world of AI.
Yeah, all right, nice. So it kind of makes me think about different types of projects. And since you were a curriculum designer as well, just I'm really curious, what is like your favorite course or curriculum or anything along those lines? And what would students say is their favorite among the group?
Oh, well, easy. I mean, the learners are so funny. We're always sending them surveys like, how much did you like this? How much did you like that? So I can tell you statistically, 98% of learners love our build a business theme. That is their favorite overall. And then our fourth and fifth grade learners, in middle school and high school, build a business is it. We have future entrepreneurs on our hands for sure. They love creating their own businesses, real businesses, services, nonprofits, for profits, and we teach them how to, create different financial models and build a business plan. And they love it. We run that one, at least every 2 years, and they get really into it. Our fourth and fifth graders love Shuffle Jump Roll, which is a game design cycle where they're designing their own board game. 100% of learners really loved that cycle as well. And those are great ones. The design thinking cycles are always really interesting when they get to create an invention. We did wild inventions where they were inspired by animals, and then they had to pick a UN Sustainable Development Goal, and then they had to create an invention inspired by animals using biomimicry to solve a world problem in the UN Sustainable Development. So that was one of my favorites. Cities of the Future was our first ever theme that we did. So that one's very close to my heart, which is, what will the world be like in the future? Some learners did community art projects to share their message for the future. Others said, I think in the future, we're going to give up on Earth and go to space. And they built space cities. Other built these really cool futuristic buildings, with glass and trees and flying cars all around the outside. Others did, environmental service projects to clean up their environment. So that was a really cool one. And I always love the ones that have a really big diversity of different projects and outcomes, because you
Yeah.
just see, gosh, like the creativity of these kids is blows me away.
Oh yeah, that's the beautiful thing I think about leaving the traditional school system is you get to explore more of the creativity and find more of what interests you as a student. And I think as a parent of a student doing alternative education, I see this all the time. He's happier this way. He if one day if he's doing math and he says, I know all this, I just didn't feel like it. I switched and did something else. I've been spending extra time on this history course, even though I know a lot of it. It's really interesting. So I'm like, all right, okay, okay, good.
Just make your like parent heart sing to like see that love of learning that just, it's so natural in kids. And we really frame it, curiosity is so natural and so inherent in kids. And often, around third, fourth grade, you see like kids in traditional schools, it just getting dampened. And, we see it as our job to protect that natural curiosity and ignite it and amplify it, really.
I've never been a fan of standardized tests. I've never been a fan of homework, but it's always a trick figuring out how to measure success.
Yeah.
So, like, what is your thoughts on measurement of success if you're not using those traditional methods?
Yeah. So even though we're not using traditional methods, all of our, like I mentioned, we have all of the standards baked into our curriculum, rolled up into competencies, rolled up into badges. And so as learners work through projects, they are on the back end, we've got crazy rubrics of all different types of levels that you should be at. They're not really learner facing. That's not our focus, but the coaches do use those as they're going in and giving feedback and saying like, okay, like here's the place where we really want to see you, talking about the craft that the author used. So, like, what tools did the author use here to develop the theme? And like really building in questions there to help learners get to the next level. And so, coaches are able on the back end to see, like, okay, this is where I can push and challenge kids to support them in their academic growth. And then learners, as they work through their projects, are, mastering competencies and earning badges. They do badge defenses or grade defense forms where they're going in and saying, like, okay, I was meant to be learning design thinking here. So like, here's ways in which I iterated. Here was my prototype. Here's where I got feedback and I, changed my final thing. Or here's where I've like really showed that I've understood this physics concept and the toy that I designed is flying and the physics of aerodynamics are this, and really like going in and kind of reflecting on their learning, but also, explaining where and how they've learned what they were, meant to learn in that theme.
Do the students actually like show off their badges or take pride in them, or how
They
does that
do.
work?
They do. They all have portfolio sites that they're so proud of. They're so cute. I'll share a couple of them with you. But at the end of each cycle, when they've earned their badges, they get, they get awarded their badges, and then they place them on their portfolio site, and they link the projects that they've worked on, and they write little descriptions of what they did and what they learned. And sometimes it's like, this was my project, and I'm so proud of it, and here's the badges that I've earned. And other times it's like, to be honest, like this was my original vision, and then it went here, and then it went here, and then it went here, and it's not really kind of where I thought it was going to end up, and that's okay. And to see their reflections on that are just, yeah, so powerful. And then especially learners that have been with us for multiple years, we have kids going into their 6th year with us at Prisma at this point. It's so cool to see the growth on their portfolio sites over time as well.
Yeah, I bet that would be. I would love to see some of those.
Yeah,
Uh,
maybe a couple.
so, how I know you touched on it earlier briefly, but how do Prisma's 6-week interdisciplinary themes work in practice? Do you have any real examples or anything?
Yeah, lots of real examples. um, Maybe I'll give you Cities of the Future, since that's the one I
Yeah,
mentioned.
you
Does that?
mentioned that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So every 6 weeks, we have a different theme. So we do Cities of the Future, right? It's about 50% synchronous, 50% asynchronous. During the synchronous time, it's the debates, discussions, simulations, escape room, design thinking challenges. Learners in that theme were members of a city council, and they had to decide what they wanted to do in a couple of different situations. One week there was a disaster, and they had to decide how they wanted to distribute disaster relief funds. Another week there was a vacant lot, and they had to decide what they wanted to build there. Do they want to build a business or a hospital or a park? So these kind of real world discussions that are happening during the live sessions. And in the asynchronous piece, that's where they're working through their project. So each project, the cycles are 6 weeks long at our lower and middle school, 12 weeks long at our high school. So they start with kind of an explorations phase where, maybe they're exploring different, space resources or city planning resources or environmental science resources, and kind of learning more about the topic, getting excited into it. Then they select a project that they're going to work on, and then they're working and building that. And like I mentioned, the coaches are going in every day giving feedback. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And then in addition to that, they have a literacy project that they're working on as well. So paired with Cities of the Future, we did dystopian novels. So each cohort selected a different novel. Some were reading The Giver, some were reading other texts, and then they're going in and reading that, and then doing a writing project that corresponds to the Cities of the Future as well. So kind of
Oh,
cohesive there. So
yeah, it all,
some
all
security
kind of comes
standards,
together.
compliance, literacy, all melded together. And then, of course, over the course of a full academic year, you're hitting everything that you need to hit. But there's always literacy and there's always math, but the kind of core other competencies within each theme do change every 6 to 12 weeks.
Okay. Um, Now, kind of switching gears a little bit, because a lot of our listeners are deeply interested in education equity. So,
Yeah.
like, what does access to Prisma look like in terms of tuition and financial aid?
Yeah, sure. So we have two different options for tuition. The first is our full program, which comes with the coach at the middle school level, so 4th through 8th grade. That costs around $10,000 per year. The high school is around $11,000 per year. We do also have a parent coach program too. That's half the cost, and it's for longtime homeschool families or educators. And in that That's one way we try to make it more equitable, right? That's the most expensive part of our model, really, is the time that coaches and teachers are investing into each learner. And so we do offer an option where in the parent coach program, they still get access to the full curriculum, to all of the live workshops, to the debates, discussion, simulation, all the enrichments, all the social opportunities, but the parent takes on that feedback and mentorship piece,
Mhm.
and the assessment piece as well. So that's one way. And then we do also offer need-based financial aid. So it's just part of our application process where you apply, you say you want to apply for a scholarship, and then we ask for, tax or other documentation, as well as any like context that families want to add.
Okay. Okay. And I know you've been with them for so long. What's the deepest, what's the deeper philosophy that guides Prisma?
I think the
Uh,
biggest one for us, I mean, I mentioned our two goals, right? That we want kids to love learning and to prepare them to thrive in the future. But I'd say to distill it into one sentence is just learning should be hard fun. Seymour Papert. So we didn't make it up, but we are very inspired by the idea of hard fun. That kind of feeling that you get when you're doing something that's really challenging and you want to solve the problem. You were talking about your son getting into his history project, right? That's hard fun. Like history is hard and it's challenging and it's interesting. There's so many different perspectives, but when you're excited about it, you just want to keep going. And that's really what we're always aiming for with our kids, that like, insatiable curiosity, deep work flow type state that you get into when you're really excited about something.
Definitely, yes. And I know, like, we host different meetups around the world as well when we travel. Do your families ever meet up in person?
They do. Yeah. We have the most amazing like community of families. So, in a couple different ways. So, 3 times per year, actually, we're doing 4 next year. We do in person. They're called endeavors, where we have a bunch of kids come together at a camp. So, we've done adventure camps and surf camps, and they get to come together. We have about 75 kids that came to each one last year, and just spend a week in cabins. Some of our coaches are able to come out. We have parent chaperones, and it's so beautiful for them all to get to connect together in person. They do their kind of learning in the morning and activities in the afternoon. So we do that 4 times per year. Our families are amazing and are often organizing meetups. We've got kind of parent captains in different regions that organize kind of quarterly meetups with different families. Then we also have a family map where people I was talking to a family a couple months ago and she's like, oh yeah, I was in London for work and I looked up the family map and I met up with Sarah, and because I saw that she was in London. And just families connecting. If they're traveling, they pull up the map and say, oh, we're going to be in Kuala Lumpur, like let's see what families we have in KL, and connecting there, which is also really really lovely and spontaneous. We have a parent Facebook group, so sometimes people are like, oh, we're going to the Atlanta Science Museum, anybody want to come? And a bunch of people jump on and go, which is lovely. And that's kind of one of the best things about growing just a little bit too, is having that density in different areas where people can connect and meet up.
Yeah, yeah, and I love those types of groups. People tend to group together, either whether it's the parents organizing it, whether it's the kids organizing it. Yeah.
Yeah, if you
So
build it they will come, is I think what we've learned.
yes, yes. All right. And before we wrap a little bit here, I have a few quick lightning type questions
Ooh.
to get your feedback on. Like, all right, if you were to quickly think, what is your favorite project that you've seen recently?
Favorite project that I've seen recently.
Just
I
favorite.
really loved the Future of Health Design Thinking project, where they did the empathy interviews. They picked a patient population, and really I loved it because there was so much depth that went into the research on the patient populations and the biology behind it, but also so much humanness and thoughtfulness that went into designing a solution to make life better for the future.
Nice. Okay. One thing families should do before applying.
I would say just be really clear with themselves what their goals for their kids are. I think in the traditional school system, it can be so easy to just be like, okay, we send them to school and they'll kind of take care of it. But at Prisma, we do have a really personalized approach. And so the clearer families are on what their goals are for their kid, the more they get out of the program. And that's what we hear from families again. It's like, oh, I didn't know I could ask the coach to do this. I didn't know I could do that. Like, yeah, like tell us what you want. We're here for it. And so I think if you're applying to Prisma, like think about what do you really want for your kids? What are your family's, values and goals around education, and tell us and we'll support you in that.
I love that. Just tell you. All right. And where can folks go to learn more about this or even try a sample experience?
Yeah, our website's the best spot. It's joinprisma.org. JoinPrisma.org.
Excellent. And what, if you, I'm going to give you the platform for a second here. What do you want to tell our listeners about Prisma?
Ooh, great question. Um, we've asked families this a bunch, right? Which is like, what most surprised you about Prisma? And I think it's the hardest thing to articulate, right? It's easy to talk about the cool projects that kids do and the curriculum, and you can see all that on the website and the outcomes and all of it. But what I really want to tell families, and what honestly made us the most nervous when we were first starting Prisma, and the most excited now that we're in it, is it is such a beautiful community. We have the best kids, the best families. They do make real friendships. They know each other. We talked, like I mentioned, we have the best coaches in the world, and they're like, I've never known kids the way I know my Prisma learners. I've never, really felt like a part of their family and their life. I'm in their living room or their Airbnb or whatever it is they are as they're traveling, and I see them and I know them. The kids are incredible. They're brilliant and kind and creative and curious. There's not cliques or meanness. It's just positive vibes only. And the community, I mean, I'm just so grateful to be a part of it, and for all the families that join us. And it's hard to explain, but it really is magic when you're in it.
All right. Yes, let's throw some magic dust out there. It sounds like
Yeah.
magic.
Sounds like
Well, Kristen, thank you so much for joining us and giving us that deep look inside of Prisma. And, it sounds like you're doing a lot to reimagine learning for our world, especially for our travelers out there. I really love that because that's the biggest concern when people are getting ready to leave and go traveling is about our kids' education.
yeah.
So I do appreciate that from you. Thank you very much. Thanks for running the company because without
It's
you, obviously, it wouldn't be what it is right now. So
Well,
that's
we
your
have two
vision.
incredible founders, Victoria and Alan, who were you know, it was their vision and inspiration, and that got us here. So very grateful to them for the opportunity, and it's a total blast. It's so fun.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, this is a very unique opportunity for kids. And to our listeners, if you're looking for a way to give your kids structure, challenge, creativity, and global connection without sacrificing your freedom to explore the world, Prisma might be just what you're looking for. Right? So you can find some links to Prisma, like we said, in the show notes. Joinprisma.com
Mhm.
as well. And if you missed our interview with the Avia families earlier this season, go back and give that a listen for a real life look at Prisma in action.
Thanks so
All
much for
right.
having me on, David.
Yes, thank you very much. And well, until next time, everybody, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep living the offbeat life. Take care.
We just wanna see something bigger than us. To see and smell and taste something completely new. We just wanna travel the world.